My baby won't wake up. Please help her, human. The desperate plea echoed through the quiet corridors of the starship Celestine, where Captain Mara Sylvain stood transfixed by a small holographic image flickering on the control panel. The message had come not from one of her trusted officers, but from an alien mother whose language had been painstakingly deciphered over months of uncertain contact. Mara's heart pounded as she recalled her own lost child, a memory that would not let her ignore the call for help. It was a plea steeped in desperation and love, a love that transcended species boundaries. The alien mother's words resonated inside her, as if reaching back from a distant past where all mothers, regardless of form, shared the same ache of longing for their children. And so, with trembling resolve, Mara set the course for the nebula that the message pinpointed, determined to help mend the broken chapter in this stranger's life. The nebula, known among navigators as the Whispering Veil, was a realm of ever-changing colors and mysterious energies, a place where the ordinary laws of physics gave way to the extraordinary. The ship glided through cascades of interstellar dust, its external sensors capturing fleeting visions of living light and ephemeral structures that defied explanation. Deep inside, the atmosphere was one of quiet urgency. Captain Sylvain gathered her team, a medley of experts from different worlds, Dr. Alex Torin, an astrophysicist whose compassion was as vast as his intellect, Lieutenant Ryan Call, a taciturn yet brilliant engineer, and Ambassador Sarah Vell, a diplomatic envoy whose heritage spanned galaxies. Each one had come on board with a singular mission, to restore hope to a family whose bond had been severed by a cosmic misfortune. In the navigation chamber, the team pored over star maps and ancient charts while Dr. Torin narrated the enigma of the request. The signal originated from a planet we thought to be uninhabited, the scientist explained, his voice low with wonder. Yet, here we see evidence of life, a native species, whose language and customs remain a mystery. His words, laced with excitement and trepidation, painted a picture of a world wrapped in secrets, where love and loss intermingled with the unfathomable expanse of the universe. As the Celestine descended into the outer layers of the Whispering Veil, each passing moment seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of a plan not yet set into motion, a plan that would soon test the very core of what it meant to be a parent, an explorer, a savior. The ship entered the planet's orbit under a cloak of silence, and soon the vast swirling tapestry of an alien landscape spread out beneath them. The planet, known as Lasara, was a wonder of bioluminescence and lush, living flora. When Mara and her team beamed down to the surface, they found themselves immersed in a forest of towering, iridescent trees and glowing vines that twisted like the threads of destiny. Every step into the forest felt like a journey into the heart of a myth, the brush of luminescent petals against skin, the soft hum of unseen creatures, and the overwhelming sense of being observed by ancient eyes. It was here, in an enchanted grove, that they first encountered the alien mother, whose presence radiated grief and quiet determination. She stood before them, slender and ethereal, her elongated limbs graceful yet burdened by sorrow. Her eyes, a deep and fathomless green, seemed to understand the language of pain as much as they did the call for help. "I am Azira," she began in halting words that had been converted into human dialect, each syllable imbued with a vibrancy that suggested both hope and heartbreak. "My baby, Tari, lies in a deep sleep from which she cannot awaken. The ancient medicine of my people has failed her. I beg of you, human, help her." Her voice trembled with both fear and love, and in that moment, Mara recognized universal truths that even the vast distances between worlds could not obscure. Without hesitation, the captain knelt before Azira, her hand reaching out in a promise of solidarity. "We shall help you, Azira," Mara vowed, feeling the weight of a promise that was as sacred as it was immediate. As twilight deepened over Lasara, the combined team set about establishing a temporary base in a clearing near Azira's dwelling, a humble structure woven with living vines and stones that pulsed with ancient energy. Lieutenant Call busied himself with technical instruments and sensors, determined to capture any data that might elucidate the mysterious condition affecting little Tari. Meanwhile, Ambassador Vell engaged Azira in quiet conversations about her customs, hoping that the insights gleaned might provide a clue to the solution. Dr. Torin, with notebooks and delicate instruments, began examining a sample of the luminescent flora surrounding the structure, impressed by the organic systems that mirrored the healing traditions of many medieval earth cultures. All the while, Mara remained at Azira's side, their silent communion affirming a shared determination to defy the celestial odds stacked against them. Despite the urgency of the situation, the hours passed in a surreal blend of scientific inquiry, diplomatic exchange, and quiet moments of shared vulnerability. Azira recounted the history of her species, a lineage that had once thrived in harmony with the planet's living energies, weaving medicine from the very fabric of the land. Her words painted a tapestry of rituals and legends, of cosmic alignments and sacred melodies sung beneath twin moons. Yet now, she was isolated in her agony as an ancient affliction had taken root in her child. Tari's condition, a state of prolonged, comatose slumber, was something no remedy from her people's lore could mend. This affliction, as Azira elaborated, was intertwined with a larger, unseen menace that loomed over their civilization. A malady that not only affected individual lives but threatened the very survival of her people. That night, beneath a sky brimming with unfamiliar constellations, the Celestine team convened in whispered strategy, aware that the journey ahead was wrought with peril and doubt. The following morning, a breakthrough emerged when Dr. Torin discovered traces of an exotic compound intermingled with Tari's blood, a substance that seemed both alien and strangely organic. With analytical fervor, he hypothesized that the compound originated from one of Lysara's bioluminescent plants, the very same flora that had captivated him on his first hours on the planet. Determined to test his theory, Dr. Torin and Lieutenant Call embarked on a meticulous expedition into the denser regions of the forest to collect samples. The journey was arduous, the terrain was a labyrinth of twisting roots and luminescent meadows that pulsated to the rhythm of the planet's heartbeat. Their path was lit by an eerie yet enchanting glow and filled with the rustle of unseen creatures moving silently in the undergrowth. Every step seemed laden with both promise and trepidation as they sought the plant rumored in ancient lore to restore the bonds between life and slumber. Deep in the forest, hidden behind a waterfall of liquid light, they discovered a grove where the flora shimmered with a purity that defied the surrounding chaos. Among them was a delicate vine whose blossoms emanated a soft, enticing glow. The vine's petals fluttered like the wings of a mythical creature, and its scent carried the subtle notes of hope. Carefully, they extracted a generous sample, storing it in a container designed to preserve its delicate essence. When they returned to the base camp, the team gathered in the small laboratory, fervently analyzing the plant's properties. The breakthrough came when Ambassador Vel recalled an ancient verse from the lore passed down through generations in her family, a verse that described a healing elixir created from a rainbow bloom that could restore a soul lost in slumber. With a sense of cautious optimism, Dr. Torin synthesized an experimental serum from the plant extract, melding the wisdom of ancient tradition with the precision of modern science. As twilight fell once more over Lysara, the team prepared for the most delicate operation of all, administering the serum to Tari. Inside the modest dwelling that had been Azira's haven and now their laboratory, they surrounded the quiet form of the alien baby. Tari lay swathed in soft fibers interwoven with natural luminescence that seemed to pulse in slow unison with her heartbeats, or what remained of them. Mara's gaze fell on the peaceful curve of Tari's face, untouched by the ravages of her condition. With steadied resolve and the weight of a promise that echoed from Azira's anguished cry, the team initiated the procedure. In a moment that felt suspended between hope and despair, Dr. Torin injected the serum into Tari's delicate system. The air itself seemed to hold its breath as minutes dragged by in an almost infinite expanse of time. Outside, the forest whispered secrets to the night, every leaf and petal partaking in the silent vigil. Time itself seemed to waver, the boundaries between hope and despair blurring in the magical interplay of energies. Then, as if led by unseen hands, a shift occurred. Tari's small fingers twitched, and a soft glow began to emanate from her skin, the same glow that suffused the plants of Lysara. It started as a faint shimmer, a murmur of light beneath her closed lids, and soon blossomed into a radiant surge that filled the room with a pulsating energy. Azira, overcome by a tempest of emotions, fell to her knees, her cries merging with those of joy and relief. "My baby! Tari," she whispered, her voice raw and unburdened by disbelief, "you have returned to me." Mara, standing silently near the window, allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection as she witnessed the rebirth of a familial bond so pure that it resonated across galaxies. In the ensuing hours, Tari's revival imbued the entire base camp with an aura of rejuvenation and hope. The miracle, however, was but the first step in unraveling the deeper mystery that had plagued the alien species for generations. Dr. Torin's analysis revealed that the compound found intermingled with Tari's blood was not merely a harmful toxin, but a marker left by a parasitic agent, one that had been unknowingly unleashed by environmental disturbances and the misuse of natural energies. It appeared that the ancient medicine of Azira's people, while apt for many known maladies, was utterly unprepared for the aggression of this new enemy. The serum had worked on Tari, but its efficacy beyond this miracle remained uncertain. Mara gathered her team in earnest discussion, the weight of responsibility hanging heavily in the air. The survival of an entire civilization now depended on their ability to isolate and neutralize this insidious agent before it spread further among Lasara's people. The days that followed were marked by tireless investigation and collaboration, as the Celestine team transformed their repaired base into a makeshift research enclave. Ambassador Vel liaised tirelessly with the local elders and shamans of Lasara, whose ancient chronicles hinted at previous encounters with similar forces. It became clear that the parasitic agent was not a recent anomaly but a reawakened remnant of an ancient cosmic cycle, a cycle where nature, pushed to its metabolic limits, sometimes retaliated in ways that no species was fully prepared to counter. Lieutenant Call repurposed the ship's diagnostic arrays to scan the planet's biosphere, mapping the spread of the toxin and isolating regions that had been most affected. Each data point, every spectral analysis, built up a mosaic of understanding that straddled the borders of science and myth. Their work was a harbinger of a potential renaissance or catastrophe, a mirror reflecting the fragility of civilizations bound to the whims of the universe. One crisp morning, as the twin suns began their slow ascent over a vast mountain range, Ambassador Vel received word from a mysterious envoy. Clad in ceremonial garb and speaking in a language older than recorded history, the envoy explained that the parasitic infestation was intimately tied to a sacred ritual known only to a reclusive sect known as the Children of Solara. This sect, guardians of ancient cosmic wisdom, had long maintained the delicate balance between the natural and the supernatural on Lasara. Their isolation in the towering peaks was intentional, a shield against the encroachment of modernity that threatened the old ways. It was said that the key to overcoming the parasite resided in a rare artifact, a crystalline orb inscribed with the geometries of creation itself. This orb was said to resonate with the life force of the planet, capable of amplifying natural energies to purge the corruptive influence that had silently taken root. Realizing that their only hope might lie in rekindling ancient wisdom, Mara resolved to journey to the remote mountains, her own heart bolstered by the memory of her child and the prayers of Azira. The ascent was a trial that tested both body and spirit. The mountain paths were treacherous, winding through ancient groves of petrified trees and across chasms that echoed with the voices of long-lost ancestors. Mara led the expedition, her steady pace matching the rhythm of her determination. Lieutenant Call and Dr. Torin followed, each consumed by thoughts of the potential solution that lay in the orb. As they neared the summit, the landscape unfolded into a panorama of profound beauty and solemnity, a dusk-lit valley cradled by peaks that seemed to scrape the heavens. In this sacred space, the remnants of an ancient civilization lay scattered in silent testimony to millennia of wisdom and trial. Here, in a small, secluded temple dedicated to Solara, they finally encountered the Children of Solara. The sect's members were a quiet and enigmatic group, their eyes reflecting a timeless knowledge and acceptance of nature's dualities. The High Keeper, draped in flowing robes that shimmered with the hues of the dawn, explained the gravity of their quest in measured tones. The orb, he said, is not merely an object, it is the physical manifestation of life's eternal cycle. To command its power, one must understand both creation and destruction, hope and despair. It is a mantle heavy with responsibility. His words resonated deeply with Mara, who had long learned that leadership was a balance of promise and sacrifice. After days of intense communion with the children of Solara, Mara was entrusted with an ancient ritual designed to awaken the orb's latent energies. The ceremony was intricate and demanded an unwavering faith in the forces both seen and unseen. Under the shadow of the sacred temple, with the artifact cradled in trembling hands, Mara recited incantations from a language older than time, her voice merging with the harmonic resonance of a distant, cosmic choir. The orb began to pulse, first with a faint luminescence then steadily surging into a radiant glow that bathed the ancient chamber in a solution of light and sound. For a spellbinding moment, the orb's energy rippled outward, connecting with every living organism in its vicinity, a reminder that even in a universe filled with darkness, there still existed a spark of ineffable hope. When the orb's light finally subsided, a serene silence replaced the once vibrant hum of cosmic energy, a silence laden with both promise and contemplation. The High Keeper, his eyes glistening with reverence, acknowledged that the power had been awakened. "Return now," he intoned softly, "and let the orb's energy guide your efforts to heal your people. For the path forward must unite the ancient wisdom of our kind with the ingenuity of modern science." With the orb safely secured and the blessings of the children of Solara echoing in their hearts, Mara and her team hastened back to the base camp on Lasara. They now carried a tangible symbol of hope, a magic that was as potent as it was mysterious. The orb was carefully integrated into a sophisticated apparatus designed by Lieutenant Call, a machine that was meant to diffuse its energy evenly across the biosphere. The objective was twofold: to neutralize the parasitic force stealthily infiltrating the planet's life force, and to rekindle the natural balance that had once been the hallmark of Lasara's harmonious existence. As the apparatus powered up, a dazzling interplay of colors burst forth, cascading over the landscape like ribbons of elemental brilliance. The ground beneath their feet quivered in response, as if the very soul of the planet was awakening to the call of healing. Yet, as the machine hummed and the orb pulsed in synchrony, an unforeseen twist emerged. Deep within a cavern hidden by tangled vines and thick mist, an entity stirred, an ancient guardian of Lasara, once regarded as a benevolent protector now twisted by centuries of isolation and sorrow. This guardian, a colossal form shaped from living stone and crackling energy, had long watched the happenings on Lasara without intervention. Its eyes, burning with a spectral fire, scanned the horizon as the orb's energy began to spread. It recognized the intrusion of change, an upheaval that threatened the delicate equilibrium it had so vigilantly preserved for an age immemorial. With a voice that rumbled like distant thunder, it declared, "Who dares unravel the threads of fate woven so carefully through time?" The unexpected confrontation sent ripples of alarm through the base camp. Mara, ever the calm and resolute leader, stepped forward to negotiate with the ancient guardian. She explained that their intentions were not to usurp the natural order but to protect it from a malignant force that sought to corrupt life itself. The dialogue that ensued was long and arduous, a battle of ideologies between ancient instinct and modern resolve. Slowly, with the measured cadence of sincere empathy and the compelling argument of shared survival, Mara convinced the Guardian that the orb's energy was not an agent of destruction but a restorative force meant to save a people on the brink of extinction. Ultimately, the colossal form yielded a grudging nod, stepping aside as the apparatus continued its work of healing. Over the next weeks, the orb's energy diffused across Lasara with transformative effects. The once darkened skies began to shimmer with renewed brilliance, and the parasitic toxin, now identified as an aberration of nature itself, receded into obscurity. Azira's people, who had suffered in silence for so long, gradually began to reclaim the life force that had been hijacked by the disease. Tari, the baby whose revival had started it all, emerged from her delicate state to a future teeming with promise. With every pulse of the orb's light, the alien flora seemed to sing of rebirth, and the wounded hearts of a people long burdened with despair found solace in the tangible manifestation of hope. As Mara and her team prepared to leave Lasara and return to their interstellar duties, they paused to reflect on the intricate tapestry of life they had witnessed, a tapestry that revealed that the bonds of love, sacrifice, and the unyielding quest for healing were threads common to all beings in this vast universe. In the final moments of their mission, as the Celestine soared away from Lysara, Mara stood at the viewport, her eyes fixed on the resplendent glow that now bathed the planet. The alien mother, Azira, embraced her reborn daughter with tears of gratitude and wonder streaming down her luminous face. "You have saved not just my child, but all of us," she murmured softly, her voice resonating like a benediction. Mara's own heart swelled with the deep understanding that the universe was a grand mosaic, its myriad pieces connected by the simple yet resilient bonds of care and compassion. The journey had been fraught with obstacles and unforeseen twists, from the initial cry for help through the labyrinthine challenges of the Whispering Veil to the sacred communion with the children of Solara and the reckoning with an ancient guardian. Each ordeal had forged a connection, a bridge of empathy and understanding between alien worlds and human initiative. As the Celestine charted its course back across constellations and uncharted realms, the memory of Lysara remained etched in the hearts of its crew. They carried the legacy of a torch passed from one species to another, a testament to the power of unity in the face of cosmic adversity. Mara's promise, once whispered amid despair, had been transformed into an enduring commitment, to continue reaching out across the void to any soul in need, regardless of the boundaries that separated them. In that silent pledge lay the true miracle, one that transcended scientific breakthroughs and ancient rituals alike. It was a promise that the universe would always remember that love, in its many incarnations, was the most potent force of all, a force capable of bridging even the widest cosmic gaps. In the quiet hum of the Celestine's engines, as stars streaked past like fleeting dreams, the team prepared for the next chapter of their endless journey. Dr. Torin meticulously recorded every detail of their experience, a chronicle destined to be shared with future generations across myriad star systems. Lieutenant Call's deft hands continued calibrating the ship's instruments, ensuring that every system functioned with the precision required to navigate the vast unknown. Ambassador Vel, with her heart full of ancient lore and modern hope, composed messages of gratitude to the children of Solara and promised to maintain the cultural bonds that had blossomed during their time on Lysara. And Mara, her spirit tempered by trials and triumphs alike, gazed out into the cosmic sea with new understanding, a realization that every cry for help, every act of courage, contributed to the relentless, interwoven narrative of life. Even as the Celestine receded into the star-drenched distance, the gentle luminescence of Lysara endured as a reminder that compassion and hope were universal languages. Across the void, alien mothers cried out for assistance, and human hearts answered with unwavering empathy. In the end, it was not the brilliance of advanced technologies or the lofty promises of ancient prophecies that determined the fate of worlds, it was the simple, indomitable truth that in every being, no matter how alien or familiar, the bonds of love and the will to protect the innocent could spark miracles beyond imagination. And so, as the Celestine sailed onward into the uncharted realms of space and time, its crew carried with them an eternal lesson, that even in the darkest corners of the cosmos, a mother's love and one human's determination could ignite the radiant spark of hope, healing the wounds of the universe one tender heartbeat at a time. Thus ends the chronicle of a desperate cry that pierced through the endless night, a cry that transformed despair into a tapestry of light and hope. In the silent echoes of ancient groves and the starry corridors of distant galaxies, the story of Azira, Tari, Mara, and all those whose lives had been touched by this moment would live on. Their intertwined destinies were an enduring testament to the power of collaboration and sacrifice, a testament that whispered, always, through the ever-expanding corridors of time, "My baby won't wake up. Please help her, human." And help she was, for in answering that call, they ensured that every child, every being, no matter from what distant star, would know the warmth of a universe united in its love for life. The journey forward was uncertain, a winding path through realms of both wonder and peril, yet imbued with the assurance that no cry for help would ever go unheard amidst the vast chorus of existence. The Celestine vanished into the star-strewn night on its next mission, but in every corner of the galaxy where despair lurked, a spark of hope had been lit. With hearts alight and souls emboldened by the legacy of Lysara, they continued onward, forever guided by that first desperate plea, a call that transcended galaxies and reminded all that the struggle for life and love was a shared campaign, written in the ink of bravery and compassion, across the infinite canvas of time and space. And so, as the cosmos spun endlessly around them, the story of a baby brought back to light echoed throughout the universes, a poignant reminder that in the interplay of tragedy and triumph, every whispered plea carried the promise of a tomorrow brighter than any star. The legacy of this singular mission would be passed down as myth, history, and prayer, an immortal narrative binding every mother, every child, and every courageous soul who dared to listen when the cosmos cried out in desperate need. In that vast convergence of hearts near and far, the truth resounded clear, that the bonds of life were resilient, that every act of compassion was a spark in the unyielding darkness, and that sometimes, the simplest plea was enough to change the course of stars. In the final quiet moments before the Celestine's engines lulled into a low, meditative hum, Mara's thoughts drifted back to the promise made on that fateful day, to be the light for those who wandered lost in the cosmic night. It was a promise as enduring as the heavens themselves, etched into every star and whispered by every ray of hope. For the universe, vast and ceaseless, was nothing more than a collection of interconnected dreams, each one waiting for a kind soul to nurture it to life. And in that understanding lay the ultimate truth: no matter how far from home a cry may echo, the hands of compassion will always extend, bridging the infinite divide with the timeless melody of love.